Lagging out again, so I'll wait. This build in short, do not play as a first build. Do not play if you don't have resources. In short, do not play this build until you are either willing to get to a certain point and then just spend hours and hours and hours grinding away at a capped level, not just grinding away, getting bigger, at a capped level until you can get all your glyphs maxed, all your gear to a decent level, get the bash pants. You either need lots of RNG or you need lots of grinding. Hello and welcome to this episode where we're going to review the bash barb. Now, which bash barb? There is billions of it because it is a popular build. We're going to take probably the best creator of it with his team and friends. We are taking this bash barb particular build. Obviously Rob's big Twitch person and obviously YouTube content creator. We have currently the IronSkin barb. We'll go over the differences in the builds in a second. It is meant to be a plug and play build, which it's not. That part is misleading to a lie. It is a plug and play if it's not your first character. Otherwise, it's just like pretty much anything except for a druid. You'll get to a certain point regardless of anything else, if you got any sort of general plan. Because it does take this to make it work a lot better because of paragons and all that. And it takes the paragons. So we have a look. We have all 225 paragons in, with them all maxed out. And then on top of that, we have the skill tree set up as it's meant to. We haven't changed anything, so it's purely what it is. And then I've grinded for around 20 hours to convert this from our fun little Dust Devil build to this. It's cost all my resources for the pit, plus I've gone and got more. I've spent over 30 million and, as I said, 20 hours to do this. It took me probably at least 6 hours to get a pair of pants that had bash levels. I have not found a single amulet that's got plus skills to a couple of different things that you can do. We'll go over some of the changes in the stats, but we haven't found an amulet that's perfect. The chance is probably the best. Life is obviously good. We need to spend 5 million to reset this so we can take it off armor. And then I didn't want to do it until we had the resources, because as you can see, we have not even masterworked all of it to level 4. So as far as a plug and play, no. Do not play this if you want to excel at it as a first character. Do not play it as a new player. Play something else, get to a certain level, get your resources, and then change over to this, or expect to have to grind out. That's your choice, whether you play if you're playing a strong build to do the pit pushes and all that, then you're probably going to create either a necro or a barb. If you like Sorks, then you can reach a certain point now they've fixed it. But, and we'll bring this over again, the IronSkin, we have a look, we need this, the unique gloves, ranks of barb. We don't have any ranks here to things, but if we go to the pit pusher, we need ranks to heavy handed, and I believe it changes if we do a boss. Yes, ranks to a counter offensive. I haven't found either of those. So, and then obviously pit pusher, ideally you have a Harlequin's crest. And then there's the IronSkin Uber, Killer Uber. So pretty much these two are the only things you need. I'm pretty sure nothing else. That to give you a bit more tank and damage reduction. So what can this build do before you have to change over to farm your Ubers to be able to, or your uniques? Either Ubers or uniques. So we won't just go Uber farmer. So if you want a build that can do all this, then it's going to cost you millions. Because if we go to the Paragon, it will be quite evident if you understand re-leveling. We have this for a Paragon board for what we're sitting at. Say we want to be a boss killer, we want to go kill the bosses, get some of the uniques that we want. Ideally, obviously, Uber uniques. We have to respec and change 3 boards, which we either have to go individually down to change up the board, rotate and do everything, or we go respec the whole thing, which costs a little bit. And then bleed, it's another change. So this is not a swap over and do this. It is a, you start here and then you grind up your materials and probably change over to a boss killer. So you spend probably 5 million swapping over to a boss killer. And then once you killed some bosses, you probably haven't got much gold from that. You then spend another 5 million to go pit pusher, and pretty much just for ego, you then spend another 5+ million to become a pit pusher. And why for ego? Well, because after rank 61, there's no need to go up if you just want materials, quick, easy, and you're not going for as high a tier as possible. So we'll run a pit 61, which this should be able to handle. Obviously it'll look a bit funny if I went in and just totally got annihilated. I'd probably cry. But we should be able to handle a pit 61. Farming the materials for masterworking. And then, as you can see, we do shots, we get out of the poison. That's probably one of the most annoying things in this game, is the amount of damage poison does, even if you're fully capped. I know it's technically 60 levels higher than us poison damage, but yeah, really should not be that bad, I reckon. But as you can see, we are pretty much treating it like a tier 100 nightmare dungeon, which is obviously 154. And this is where the IronSkin comes in handy. If you keep the IronSkin cooldown handy and you don't just spam it when you don't need it, then it is like a detoxin. Come on. Sometimes, okay, we're frozen. We're still fine. IronSkin. And we're not even as tanky as we could be because obviously converting over, still haven't found replacements for all my gear from the previous build. So we haven't actually got ranks into the barbarian life node, which would make us, if we added, would probably be closing in on about 90k life with everything we got. So we're missing around 10 to 20k life if we had RNG and everything came to us easily. So expect a good RNG version, even an min-maxed version, to be able to have around 90k to 100k life. If you've got masterworked gear, maximum life on a good roll on all your gear, pretty much, which makes the gear finding actually pretty easy. Once again, we make sure we got the IronSkin, just saving our backside. Now, one thing I will say, the shadow bosses that are at the end of the pits, we can still be one-shotted. So it's not like we're a complete tank. Depending on what drops, what boss and all that, depends on whether you can just easily deal with the shadow boss. Obviously, I think that part's a little weird as well. The fact that you can tank the pit boss, but you can't tank the pit boss's shadow warriors. I think at best it should be as if you were fighting the butcher in whatever tier you're in. So if you are 160 like we are, say the butcher gets 4 levels. So you end up with a shadow creature no more than 4 levels above your tier. Obviously, if you're almost out of your max and you're taking on a thing, 4 tiers might actually one-shot you anyway. But I can get one-shot by some of the shadow things on things that are trivial. We can just walk through everything, but the shadow can just one-shot us if we're slightly weakened or something. So yeah, what's your opinion on the shadow creatures? Because I reckon it needs to be changed. I get it's meant to make it difficult and they don't want you pushing harder and harder, because then they'll just get the same complaints that the end game's got no actual depth. But pretty much you're running greater risk to get to the boss, so just allow people to go as far as they can and just take the negativity. Like, you're not going to end up with any other result other than a pit pushing greater rift style thing with this. If they want to change up the end game, then they need to think about the boss fights and possibly having like a multiple boss engagement. So you like take on the hierarchy. So you take on Lord Zir and Valshon maybe, and then you take on Lord Zir, Valshon, and the Beast, or you break up the Beast into Andariel and Duracell. Because yeah, that's the only way you're going to end up with a more depth endgame with the bosses, is that you start sort of, oh, not this guy. You start ending up with a multitude of bosses that you come up against. We're dead. Oh, I'm not exactly sure what killed us. Maybe these circles seem to do a lot more damage than I was expecting. That's why I didn't get out of the way of it. If we shield, that guy can't do anything to us. And you can see we just baseball bat this guy, and if everything cools down at the right time, then we're all good. Is our pair of replacement gloves. I doubt it because it didn't have a legendary affix. So yeah, not going to replace them. And then we're looking for crit damage on the top bit. Then we're also looking crit damage in the main stats as well. Resistance all elements, not a terrible ring. Life on hit, yeah. Resistances have been a bit of an issue since swapping over. Obviously we're just looking for levels of bash on pants. Cost reduction, doesn't really matter. Pants, as I said, we're not looking for anything other than the actual levels to bash. If it doesn't have bash, get rid of them. That is pretty much the rule. Whoops, can't even get out of a dungeon now. So you can see we can do the pit level 61, which means we can farm the materials to masterwork. So you don't necessarily need the bleed version unless you want to either self-ego or ego and show off. Which either way, understandable and fine, but like you don't need. This is my tab where I picked up stuff that we can see, and this is my old stuff. So yeah, we don't have any actual Stygian stones, so we can't take on a tormented spirit, which is annoying because I'm not exactly sure what I could do about that. Like I've beat up, obviously I haven't personally beat up world bosses, but I've gone fight world bosses. We've done nightmare dungeons, obviously to do all the different glyphs that this build had, and ran the pit. So hello, we're lagging out now. Everything else seems to be fine, but I can't get on my horse. So we'll probably shoot back to the waypoint. But yeah, we're going to test this as a boss killer. If we can beat Duracell, we should be able to beat the rest. Excuse me. Apparently, rubber banding back was bad for my health. So we're going to take on Duracell. I don't know whether this build can beat it. I haven't tried. We should have the resources, actually. I don't see why we wouldn't. Because we have done some of the Iron Wolf thing and got some of the boss drops out of the quest line, or whatever. Shackle, doll, egg. We got at least 2 of everything, I think. If we're short, I'll just switch over to my Necro and steal some stuff out of my Necro. Which compared to this, a Necro can do Duracell, and we're tankier than our Necro. We can do tier 100s easier than my Necro can. So, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. World bosses, pit. Yeah, like, did they accidentally turn them off with the update? Because I'm not getting them. This character has not seen a Stygian stone. Okay, how are we gonna go? We got no buffs, no nothing, no anything to make it easier. What's up? Trivial as hell. Wow. What do we end up with? Godslayer crown. Except for it being mid-rolled everywhere. It's not bad as ever. I prefer the stats that we have. But yeah, pretty much crit chance we look at. Anything with crit chance, we want to try to raise the crit up because we are at 38.5, so pretty much every third hit we crit, and we can pretty much sustain hitting around million if we got some buffs up. And then if everything's ticking, we can hit tens of millions. I'm pretty sure the highest just general smack I've seen is 50 plus million. And we're not min-max, we're not capped out anywhere. So that guy was trivial as. So yeah, I'm not even sure we can beat a level 200 Duracell. As I said, we are tankier than our Necro, and our Necro can beat Uber Duril. So we have one boss in us. Acquired from Halls of Penitent, which I'm pretty sure is Andariel. So we'd have to farm Andariel and Valshan. Okay. Again. What do you think? Do we stand a chance? What's up? Huh. Certainly not turning trivial. We could be in some real big trouble. We're dead. That would be a way to get around all that. This is gonna hurt if it lands. Apparently his hits were hurting. Yeah. This is gonna be one of those fights by the looks of it, where we need to stay at a decent life, stay out of damage, or we could get one shot by one of the shadows. Come on. I'm actually quite impressed with how we were able to do that. Come on. Hitting him with 19, 10, 19, and get... We are really in trouble. Oh my goodness. We are still not out of the woods. Woo. Ho 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 ho. Nope. And it hit. Well, there goes another 5 million. And it hit. that will do it. Life or strength we would have taken. So this build, in short, we're lagging out again, so I'll wait. This build in short, do not play as a first build. Do not play if you don't have resources. In short, do not play this build until you are either willing to get to a certain point and then just spend hours and hours and hours grinding away at a capped level, not just grinding away, getting bigger, at a capped level until you can get all your glyphs maxed, all your gear to a decent level, get the bash pants. You either need lots of RNG or you need lots of grinding. I've got little RNG and lots of grinding, and it's taken hours to actually get us to where we actually are at the moment. As you can see, we need to hit the pit again and probably do another 5 to 10 pits before we can have a look at our gear again and do it again. But as far as a starter, this is worth doing, crossing over, but it's a farming build for either a conversion or another build. I wouldn't recommend you playing this build just from start to finish unless you just want to get a character level 100 that can farm your resources for you, because it will take lots of money, it will take lots of resources, and it will take lots of luck to actually get the stuff you need to create this build to super maxed. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.